but it's more than basic. It's a portion of his rap, but the core is ancient. It's supported like a pack of some warm observations are important, like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative, have the floor, so take it. Travel to the core is a normal placement. Tattoos on my arm and a form.
Oh, somewhere in this favorite land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Lufkin, because there was no coffee when I arrived today. That's been my day today so far. I arrived, there was no coffee. I had to go get my own coffee. Now, I don't mind buying the coffee. I don't mind where I get the coffee from. I don't mind driving there to get it. It's bringing the coffee back that always gets me, because carrying multiple hot coffees is a pain in the ass, particularly when on a cold day. And it's a cold day today. But you know what? I'm doing a podcast, and everything is looking just a little bit better. Maybe Casey gets another swing at that home run today. I'm going to try. I'm going to try for that.
I hope he gets sued from plagiarism. You stole
Well,
that whole thing.
If he or anyone else sues me, they're going to have to get through Tattoo with Children, because they're listening to Tattoo with Children. I am your host, Flavor Ray, not to be indemnified in any fashion with anything I say here. Across from me in seat B is the Dread Pirate Benjamin. And across from us both is fresh from another triumphant meeting, CIO No Pain. Guys, I am having a interesting day. I'm going to get into that in the first segment. How's your day going so far?
I'm good.
Productive.
Yeah, I mean.
All right, productive and good. So I talk a lot in general in my life and a few times on the podcast so far about communication, about how difficult it is to have effective communication today. And as serious as I believe this problem to be, I still think I underestimate it.
Okay.
I still think that I don't get how bad the problem is, because today a very interesting thing happened to me. Actually, it didn't happen today. It started happening earlier in the week. So we decided to get our kids flu shots. We got two daughters, Audrey and Lila, and we wanted to get them flu shots. And so my wife made an appointment with their pediatrician to get them flu shots. And the appointment came through in a text in the confirmation. And it said, flu shot, Audrey and Lila, 10:15 to 11:15 on today, whatever today is, at their pediatrician. I said, okay, that's great. And I didn't think much more about it. And then I noticed that it was on a podcast day, and it was going to run into my podcast time. And so I approached my wife and said, hey, maybe we should reschedule this appointment. It kind of runs to the podcast time. It's early in the morning. It's going to be kind of cold. She was like, dude, you can do it if you want to, but the next appointment is 3 weeks away. They're booked up for 3 weeks. I was like, oh, okay, well. So I asked my daughter, I said, hey, do you feel like getting up that early to go get a flu shot? Because it's out of town.
Right.
Her pediatrician's out of town. And she was like, if I have to get a flu shot, I want to get it as soon as possible, so just go ahead and do it then. Okay, fine. We'll just do it.
Okay.
So this morning, I wake up about 9:15. My eyes pop open. And there's a little voice. See, when I'm sleepy, the rest of my brain is able to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And some voice said, Ray, this appointment doesn't make any sense. Call the doctor. Confirm the appointment.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, I'll do that, brain.
Okay.
And so I called the doctor. It's like, hey, this is Mr. Coleman. I've got two kids here coming in for a flu shot today. Can you tell me the time? He said, yeah, you got an Audrey coming in here at 10:15. It's like, okay, cool. And I was up to hang with the phone. Then someone goes, no. Ask about the other one. Oh, yeah, what about, you got one for Lila? So, yeah, she coming in at 11:15. And then it hit me. Oh, this isn't 10:15 to 11:15 as some sort of graceful hour that I can come in any time between those 10:15, 11:15.
Mm.
This is two separate appointments.
Okay.
One's at 10:15 and one's at 11:15.
Gotcha.
So I go down there. If I'm going to go down there, I'm going to get my daughter's flu shot, my oldest daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and then her 2-year-old, about to be 3-year-old sister gets to torture us all for an hour
Mm-hmm.
while we wait for her appointment.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, that's a fuck no. I immediately rescheduled the appointment. And by the way, they had one available for the next week. And so it occurred to me that I nearly fucked my entire day because of a conversation that I did not have with my wife. You hear that? The whole conversation I had about the appointment occurred in my own head. I told myself that it said 10:15 to 11:15, and that's not what it said at all. I told myself, oh, she meant that the appointments were booked completely for flu shots. That's not what she meant. She meant that the appointments for the kids to come in and see the doctor were booked. Flu shot, you can come in. They got gaps.
Okay.
And in fact, they were extremely happy that I rescheduled because they're fucked today.
Yeah.
That doctor's office is so full. It's like she could barely talk on the phone.
Yeah.
And so, like,
So
it just hit me that I am so bad at communicating that I just fill in the gaps when I don't have information rather than ask, rather than say anything.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, do we do this everywhere in our lives? Like, this isn't just about me talking to my wife or about me text. Like, this isn't a text message problem.
Right.
You know, this is a problem of my brain has now been wired to, well, it's easier to just ignore than ask.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know what the end result of that sort of thinking is,
Right.
but it could be a lot of the fucked up shit that bothers us every day.
Yeah, I think so. I think it. I mean, I think it's most obvious in text messaging. You know, people keep sending text messages like it's a well-written, paragraph from school that your teacher graded. Okay.
Right.
You know, in other words, they go, "Well, I sent you that text earlier."
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes I want to go like, I don't know. Like, did you read that? Like, because I read it and it was a fucked up run-on sentence for like 800 years.
Right.
And also, like, I'm not particularly good at grammar, you know?
Right.
But I read a lot.
Right.
So, like, I'll get to the second sentence, or what should be the second sentence if we were diagramming, and I'll be like, hey.
If we were using punctuation.
Yeah, like, hey, this word doesn't go here, and it implies that all the words coming after it are now in a negative. Like, and I'm going like, but again, we're acting like it's this deeply philosophical writ
Right.
that we did, in the Library of Congress with, some soft music playing in the background.
Right.
Instead of what was actually happening, which is you were in the line at McDonald's
And something hit you.
and something hit you and you texted your significant other and then wondered why he or she didn't take it as seriously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like you were like, this is a very serious thing I'm doing right now.
Right.
But it's in a text message.
And also, you're in the line at McDonald's.
And you're
in other words, nothing has ever good come from being in the line at McDonald's.
And the thing about this pattern is they use it. For example, we just had a little vote here in Texas.
Did we?
And yeah, it was a vote on some propositions. Basically they're just asking hey, if I make this into a law, will you burn down my house? Because this is about our state legislature, not about our U.S. representative. U.S. representatives really don't give a fuck anymore.
Okay.
But the state reps have to give a fuck because I know where that motherfucker lives.
Okay.
Okay, so I will come to his house if he fucks with me. And so they like to ask ahead of time. Said, if I do this, are you going to start trying to kidnap my kids?
Okay.
And so one of them is about a state income tax for Texas. Some states have income taxes, Texas doesn't.
Right.
And so like, okay, they want to know if they do a state income tax, will we burn down the state?
And the answer is yes.
The answer is definitely yes. Like, there's no one in this state that would approve of a state income
How did
tax.
that even get on the menu?
Because I'm not really sure. But
Okay.
but here's the ballot said. The ballot read, are you unopposed to a state income tax in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no?
Let's go full. Hello, Texas. Let's do full George Orwell here.
Immediately, I looked over at CAO No. CAO No, like he could not hold the joy in his face from the wording of that question.
Oh my God! Is a state income tax double plus on good?
Are you unopposed to a state income tax? Yes or no? And so
what gets me about it though is that the massive amount of confusion caused to native Texans, especially, right? Like, listen, I come from New Jersey, right? And I actually saw people arguing, like, well, if you want to understand local government corruption, get involved in city council municipalities in New Jersey. And I said, or Louisiana, for that fact,
right?
Either one, right? We're kind of used to this sort of thing, right?
Sure.
To see the abject confusion all over social media from people who cared about this kind of stuff was just amazing. I loved it. I'm sorry your equipment is failing.
So here's my problem.
Hold on.
Here is my issue. My issue is, first of all, how did this get on the ballot? Second of all, why would you word it that way?
Well, you word it that way because
you want it to pass.
You want it to pass.
Okay, so now I want to know who put it on there. Because if it was Abbott, it's happening.
He's referring to Greg Abbott, and
one of the most powerful governors in the last 100 years.
I would be more wary. I really want to know where Dan Patrick flies on it. Dan Patrick is our lieutenant governor. If Dan Patrick
also a badass.
If Dan Patrick is for the state income tax, then yeah, it's probably going to happen. But they're probably going to have to lower the sales tax in order to make it work. But which, like, I'm not. I lived in Virginia for 7 years. I'm not scared of sales taxes. If they started doing vehicle taxes on top of state taxes, then I would probably have a bigger issue.
You are taxed on your vehicle.
Yes, but not. You're not taxed for having a vehicle in your driveway. You're taxed for having a vehicle registered.
Yes. And there's no laws against having an unregistered vehicle in your driveway.
Exactly.
Right.
In Virginia, if you had 10 cars sitting on your lawn, you're going to be taxed for all 10 cars.
Right. Okay.
You personally, whoever owns the
So
property.
anyway, did it pass or no?
I actually didn't bother to check if it actually there was
That was Prop 4.
There was a gigantic instantaneous response to the wording of the question. It was like people were texting everybody that they knew, "Get down here and vote! God damn it, they're trying to pull some shit." It was going all over everywhere. Like, I was at work and I got like 3 messages like, "You got to get down there and fucking vote, man." My wife actually voted in it, she was coming in from Marshall, so she was tired as fuck, recovering from pneumonia, and she had to get in there and vote on it.
Okay, so the thing about it is on Prop 4, the measure was approved. Okay, so the majority was vote yes, and a vote yes supported adding an amendment to prohibit the state from levying an income tax on individuals to the Texas Constitution, which requires a 2/3 legislative vote and a statewide referendum to amend. Okay, so that was the referendum.
That was the referendum.
They are going to be adding an amendment to the Texas Constitution prohibiting the state from levying an income tax.
Yes.
Now, there's another difficulty with this because there's more to it. You have to look at the other propositions too. The problem is there are other propositions that allow a company, a corporation, to essentially identify as an individual, okay? And therefore, if they can do that, then they can also prevent themselves from being taxed on a lot of stuff, because now they are just like an individual, and the state's not allowed to levy an income tax on individuals. So that's the reason for these kinds of wordings and these things is you gotta look at the whole picture.
Right. Okay, so it was an end around to try and lower taxes on businesses.
Correct.
Which is fine. Okay, like it's fine in the sense of it's exactly what I expect. Like I expect people particularly the bigger the business, the less taxes that they want to have levied on their profits. It's a very tried and true formula. I'm just concerned that because we have been programmed to say our information, say our thoughts in such a odd way, and to ignore the things that don't make immediate sense, that we're basically being programmed to not know when the other shoe drops. Like, everyone's always waiting for the next thing to happen. Like, okay, they're getting us ready for this next thing. Well, once the next thing happens, you won't even fucking know. Because they're going to word it in such a way that you're like, no. He all he's saying is that he loves babies. No, what he's saying is he's taking your babies and selling them to the Taliban. Wait, what? Yeah, that's what you signed on for. It's shit like that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's because we communicate so terribly.
We do. I mean, we're pretty awful at it. I mean, one of the ideas we've had is like having more of a live podcast, in the sense of, I mean, this is not live, but we're recording it. So what live would mean is, instead of recording it now and putting it up later, right?
Right.
We've talked about going live on all the forms of social media.
And just doing everything.
And then uploading it later. But
Right.
also what that would mean is having more people in the room, so that, we get some boos and we get some cheers and we get some, hey,
Yeah.
I like that. We get some.
Oh, booze has a negative feedback. I thought you were talking about opening that bottle of wine over there.
Right.
No, not that one.
So see, but that, I think that would be a fairly interesting thing, because by the quicker the three of us get to a place where we can understand that in most cases I'm right about everything and you fuckers need to get your shit together, then we'll be able to add more people in.
Where's my fart sound?
Now,
on the soundboard?
the problem I'm having with that is that he just said that after spending the first segment of the podcast fucking with his pop filter the whole time.
Seriously,
like
yeah,
literally, he
you can.
ripped the goddamn thing off the mic stand and was dropped on the floor, and it was like an episode of goddamn Keystone Cops in a one man show.
Okay, but
tell him
it's
how right he is.
It's fixed and it's working better.
It's working
It
better
only
now.
took you 17 and a half minutes to figure out a goddamn pop filter.
Okay,
17 and a half minutes
can
and
we
28 episodes.
Can we take a break?
Yeah, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back.
My name ain't Nike, but yeah, I rock. You know why? Because I don't give a fuck. That's why it doesn't matter.
All right, back with Tattoo with Children. In line with the idea of communication, like and we're talking about text messaging. And text messaging kind of started. It really was the beginning of social media, if you can believe that. It was the start of, okay, I'm going to send you something electronically without speaking to you, and this information is the best information because it's the most up to date, and that's what the whole social media thing has really been kind of driven by. Like, this is how I am in this moment. And, but it leads to some very weird things where, I guess it comes from memes maybe, or it comes from, almost like a standalone complex where people just all decide to think one thing at the same time. And then you end up with a new term or a new hashtag or something. And because it hasn't been, vetted or thought out, it can be either very incorrect, very offensive, or it could be spot on. You know, it's really hard to tell. It's always worth a discussion when something really, really new and really, really hot comes out. And I think Mike brought up an interesting one when he mentioned the as far as I know, pretty close to
Very brand new trend.
New trend of okay boomer, which I love that shit myself.
Right.
But a lot of
boomer.
people have been very offended by it. I don't mind it at all. Like because a lot, for one thing, apparently I fit into it where I would be considered. I'm just older. I was never a part of the baby boomer generation. That's my parents. They're in the goddamn 70s. But if you're a 13-year-old, I'm definitely a goddamn boomer.
Let me for our audience who don't keep up with the meme trends, right?
Okay.
If you don't know, UrbanDictionary.com is the best place to understand what the kids are saying these days.
Urban Dictionary. The old man's encyclopedia.
Yeah. The Urban Dictionary definition of okay boomer is when a baby boomer says some dumb shit and you can't even begin to explain why he's wrong, but that would be because deconstructing decades of misinformation and ignorance, so you just brush it off and say okay.
So the interesting thing about this definition is that Mike began the definition right when Flavor Ray took a drink of coffee, which is
Vengeance.
One of the ways to piss Flavor Ray off the most, because then he has a mouthful of goodness that he cannot do anything with.
At least he was kind enough to walk away from the table.
Welcome back to the table, Flavor Ray.
He was nice enough to walk away from the table and not spray us with the goodness coffee mouth.
I nearly spewed coffee all over my goddamn soundboard.
Okay,
Mike,
so
you can't do that shit while I'm drinking coffee.
Okay, so
now hang on a second. I asked you not to do that before, and the response from Ben was, "Don't drink coffee at my table." Right? So fuck all y'all.
the interesting thing about this is, while that is, who did you say that's definition? Where'd you get
That was Urban Dictionary.
Okay.
That was Urban
So when I type it into Google, the first thing I get is CNN saying that we need to talk.
Is there not?
That is okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
That fits so fucking perfectly.
And now Fox, under that is Fox News one day ago. William Shatner gets into Twitter feud
Jesus Christ.
with millennials calling him a boomer. Now, if I go down a little further, there's a dictionary.com definition, and then CNN again. A term, a viral meme among millennials and Generation Z exploded this year on TikTok, where countless mocking videos are calling out what young people perceive as the out-of-touch baby boomers and their patronizing opinions.
Guys, that is, like, I am so on board with this meme. I believe everything in this meme.
This meme is almost as good as Epstein didn't kill himself.
It's nearly as good as Epstein didn't kill himself.
Which, by the way, Joe Rogan still has not given that up.
And I don't think he should.
No, he shouldn't.
Like, I think he ought to riot that bitch out.
Oh, shit.
As a matter of fact, the most appropriate thing would be for someone to go, when Epstein killed himself, okay, boomer.
Okay,
Epstein
boomer.
didn't kill himself.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
The New York Times says that okay, boomer
Okay.
marks the end of friendly generational issues.
Now, okay, so here's
That's
the
what
problem I
marked
have.
the end of friendly generational issues.
Yeah, not
I
fucking
thought
the climate
it was.
or screwing our economic situation.
I thought the end of friendly generational issues occurred when my dad told me he's not going to tolerate any of this faggotry anymore. But no, apparently it's when a millennial decided to say "okay, boomer" on TikTok. This is the reason why "okay, boomer's" a thing, because you motherfuckers are too stupid. You're stuck on stupid for 40 years.
Right.
God, Jesus, it's not the kids.
Right.
The kids didn't build this shit. It's
Right.
not their fault.
Right. And also, is anyone over the age of 25 on TikTok? How do they even know the kids are saying it?
It was a 25-year-old that they hired in CNN that's like, hey man, on TikTok, they're calling you an asshole. And they're like, "What? Me? Yeah. Well, I mean, you and all your generation, but yeah, you in particular."
See, I just wonder why young people never went on as, got themselves into a consultant position on CNN or Fox, and then every time someone on there opened their mouth, they just went,
Right.
like, that's what I would have done.
I mean, there you go. That's a hard job to pay somebody for. Like, I mean, it's not that it's not useful. It's just like I paying this guy to give me shit all day. How much am I paying you again for this?
Somebody's already made a song about it.
Oh yeah, no,
God, no, it's big.
Listen, I'm driving my son to school this morning, and NPR has got 3 different guests on discussing the impact of OK Boomer.
Fucking hell.
Right?
Fucking
and you've got,
serious.
You've got people calling in and leaving opinions, people who are boomers. Now listen, my dad's a boomer.
These
and
goddamn geriatrics have never heard of the internet before?
Me and my dad have had this discussion, right?
Okay.
Before all this came about, he and I actually got into a fight, right?
Uh-huh.
Because we had this discussion about politics and things like that, and he's saying, AOC, is just a, she's an upstart and she doesn't really know what she's doing and she should sit down and follow the leaders and so on and so forth. And I'm like, that's not why her people voted for her.
It doesn't make
that's not a thing.
You're completely misunderstanding everything that's going on.
And we got a discussion of who each generation sees as the leader. And he asked me, he to his credit, he asked me, well, who do you see as a leader in the boomer generation? I'm like, he was voted into office.
Right.
You can't help that perception. Supposedly the most powerful position on the planet, right? And you're going to vote a guy in. He's going to be representative of who you think should be leading this whole thing.
Right.
So that kind of made him a bit mad.
Did
right?
it?
And he said, "You're lumping all the boomers together." And I said, "You're lumping all the millennials together."
It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, Dad, I get it. You and I have good conversations. We talk about good things. I don't think that you're intentionally doing it. But here's the problem. There are tons of boomers that I would never say "okay, boomer" to. Why? Because they're not saying stupid shit.
Well, here's to that point. Like, I'm on Twitter a lot. Okay, like I'm on Twitter for Tattoo with Children. I'm on Twitter for my other account a lot as well. It's a very vitriolic political account these days. It started out not that way. I've been on Twitter for a very long time. It's changed as the times have changed, and so some of the people that follow me and I follow were getting okay boomered, and we're like, very upset about it. And they started arguing with these people saying okay boomer to them. And so I went to the accounts that were saying okay boomer, and it's like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 11-year-old.
Like, you're putting that much stock into what 10, 12-year-olds are saying?
Exactly. I say, okay boomer, you're arguing with a 12-year-old. Could you shut the fuck up maybe? Like, maybe now is when you stop talking and start listening, because right now you have a fetus that is owning you on Twitter. It doesn't make any sense.
Is it a fetus, though, or is it a Russian?
Oh, that's also possible. Maybe it's a Russian bot who has pictures of his dog and his earbuds and his Air Force Ones that his aunt got him for his birthday.
A Russian bot snuck into a prison, slipped sleeping pills to the guards, killed Epstein, and then walked out of the room and said, "Okay, boomer."
He worked for Antifa or the Clintons or Trump or who the fuck knows? At this point it doesn't matter, because if Epstein didn't kill himself, we're never going to know the story, because everyone's wondering, why are they saying okay boomer to me? I'm not that old. No, maybe you are.
There was an interesting, actually, one of the guests, or one of the comments on this NPR thing I was listening to. This lady said she was having a conversation with her son, in the car on the way somewhere, and it got to the point where he said, "Okay, boomer," and she goes, "Now, wait a minute, wait. I'm Gen X. I'm not a boomer, right? So I get what you're trying to say here, and what it turned into for her was it turned into a conversation about generational lines and what the difference is and where it comes from and some history and things like that. So there are positives that can come from it, right?
Sure.
The thing about the okay boomer to me is that it's a generation, and it's generations. Honestly, it's crying out for some sort of self-identity that isn't related to this overbearing, overpowering previous group of people, right? Who are still holding on to whatever little bit of power they still have. We argue about this all the time. You've got we talk about politicians who won't fucking retire. Okay?
Sure.
Michael Bloomberg is just now entering the race on the Democratic side.
Well, this is the difference between him and you. He has money. He can do whatever he wants.
Sure, he can do whatever he wants, but I can also say, what kind of asshole thinks it's a smart idea, right?
Sure.
To run another billionaire, right? Not me.
I mean,
Not a lot of people I
okay,
know.
that's your opinion about Michael
He's
Bloomberg.
Big Lebowski to me.
But the truth is, Ben's right. Michael Bloomberg can do whatever the fuck he wants to do, like that, and that's not generational.
But I do think, but it is in a way.
Well, okay.
Okay, take it a different direction.
All right.
Flip it upside down and let's run downhill for a second. So it is generational because essentially the only argument Gen Z has or millennials have right now is smart aleck comebacks on social media.
Yes.
That's all they got.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any money.
No.
They certainly don't have any goddamn credit.
No.
And the boomers are just like trying to live out their final years without being too annoyed.
Yeah, which is a mistake on their part.
Right.
Like,
this is what
he was talking about this lady. It's like, her son, okay, boomer. She's like, wait a minute, I'm not a boomer. I'm a different generation. And the kid's going, okay, and at the end of the conversation, okay, boomer. Because
he just tweeted, "My mom's a boomer."
My mom's a boomer
during that conversation
because she's missing the point.
Yeah.
The point is you're not understanding me and you're not trying to listen to me, and the only way I can react to that is to call you a boomer.
Yeah.
That's my only reaction to your unhelpful opinion.
Because that's also a thing about millennials and Gen Z. It's like they don't curse that much.
Yeah.
So they're just like, I'm going to politely retort.
Exactly. It's like I'm not. This is going to be non-confrontational.
Right.
So I'm not going to judge you, but I am going to make my opinion known in a very passive way.
In a way that could not be misconstrued as slander, because actually all I'm doing is telling the truth.
I mean, for our generation, it was you mad, bro.
Right.
They're like I remember using you mad, bro, like a psycho uses a knife. I was just killing motherfuckers with you mad, bro.
Right.
Wait at the exact right moment in their little feud tantrum, and hit them with you mad, bro, and you can just watch in real time them destroy their own computer.
Yeah, and like in 2010 or like Xbox and like Battlefield Bad Company, it was Where You At, Enigma.
Yeah.
Because there was this, there's this like big user who went by Enigma, and so people made like hundreds of videos, where are you adding this motherfucker, because they had done something dope.
Yeah.
Where you at, homie?
Yeah,
and it was
so
like,
great.
and the great thing about it was like the kid played like 22 hours a day, so they'd literally wait till the 2 hours he wasn't on, and then be like, where you at, Enigma?
And he would, dude, I know it must have drove him nuts. Like that kid must be like 40 years old right now. He must be like, yeah, I remember those days.
Those are
hard days.
Yeah,
I'm relatively certain that Gen X is very much misnamed, right? Gen X is the trolling generation. Like everyone I know who's just slightly older than me, right? They just revel in trolling the fuck out of people.
Dude, my troll level is really high.
I love it.
It must be over 9,000.
You know what it's like? My brother's Gen X, right? So
Okay.
it's a lot like sitting down and watching him play video games.
Right.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Sitting down and watching him troll people.
Right.
Yeah.
Just gives me so much happiness.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing to do.
Because it's like you're so strong at it that you can literally just ruin people's existence, at least in the game.
Because the thing about trolling is the whole point is I shouldn't be able to do this. Like this shouldn't affect you this much because I don't fucking know you. I don't know what your life is like. I don't actually know your mother. I don't know if she's a whore. So it doesn't, since I don't know her and she doesn't know me, it doesn't cost me anything to call her a whore. So it shouldn't cost you anything to hear me call her a whore because you know I don't know her. And if you're confused about that, if you actually think that maybe I do know your mother and fucked her in the ass, then yeah, go ahead and be upset. Be mad about it. You know, like, dude, okay, yeah, I can go on like this for a long time. My troll level's really high. We're going to take a quick break here and then move on to our third and final segment here on Tattoo with Children.
I carry the club like Neanderthal, the choir got everybody dancing, dog. Y'all on that X, I'm a sentinel, standing tall. No time to stand still, please don't meander, dog. They throwing jazz at me to challenge my rap savvy. I sway like Callaway, I'm ahead, you'll never catch me.
All right, so you're back with Tattoo with Children. I want to give a quick shout out to Artie Lang. You can tell by how I go along with this. I don't just make a podcast. I also listen to podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. And just recently, he and Artie Lang had a hell of a conversation. And Artie Lang is one of my favorite comedians, and he's had some hard times in his life. He's been a junkie since he was 11 years old. So he's sober now, and he's doing better now. And I just wanted to shout that guy out because I know how hard it is to get clean and sober. And he has, in his craziest moments, he was also at one of his funniest moments.
Yeah.
So there's he made a movie called Beer League, which is absolutely fantastic, and that tendency to be really, really good when you're really, really bad happens a lot to a lot of high level performers. To that point, Kanye West has apparently decided on a name change, perhaps. Can Pirate Ben illuminate me?
Well, I was just thumbing through the internet real quick while we were on break, and I didn't mean to upset you.
It didn't upset me, but it immediately brought up Artie Lang. Because honestly, when Artie Lang was at admittedly, he was at his absolute bottom. He made this movie that was so fucking great. Like, it was made for no money, and most of them the actors were his close friends. But they gave up some of the greatest comedic performances with perfect timing that you've ever heard.
So he was at the 2019 Fast Company Innovation Festival.
Okay.
So if you
I guess that's a thing.
If you read entrepreneurial blogs or articles, Fast Company is kind of like Business Insider.
Right.
But like for Gen X and more recent millennials.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Fast Company. It's actually pretty fantastic. I recommend you read it.
So the quote is from Kanye. This is directly, it's in quotation, so I'm going to just read it verbatim. When people say it's crass to call yourself a billionaire, I might legally change my name to Christian Genius Billionaire Kanye West for a year until y'all understand exactly what it is.
That's high level.
That is. It's 5 words is what it is. Christian Genius Billionaire Kanye West.
So he's just taking an example.
I mean, that's something that I will like. That he's at the top of his game right now. Do you guys realize that Kanye West has crushed 2 genres of music simultaneously with one album? He has crushed hip-hop and Christian music simultaneously with one album. All while being Kanye West, who none of you motherfuckers like.
Right.
Raise your hand if you like Kanye West.
Right.
I ain't seeing no hands out there. He doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of just true blue fans. He's just that fucking good.
So, also in this article that I'm reading on CNN, he's discussing his recent decision to move Yeezy's headquarters. Have you heard this?
No.
All right, I'm going to give y'all both. Have you heard this? Mm-mm. All right, I'm going to give y'all both a shot. This is going to be fascinating.
This is great.
It's It's in between the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean.
So
know-
America?
Yeah. So pick one of the 48 continental United States.
All right. He's going to move Yeezy headquarters.
Well, let's find out where Yeezy's headquarters is now.
Right.
Okay.
That's interesting.
I'm trying to think if I was Kanye West,
Right.
the greatest human artist of all time. I'm married to the hottest woman that's ever been born. I have the 2 most adorable children that could be born. I have $1 billion. Where would I want my headquarters? I'm going to say Montana.
Okay. Mike? Hey, shut up. The dogs have an opinion.
They do.
I
I'm
heard
gonna
Wyoming
say,
for the dogs.
I'm gonna say Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Okay, so currently I'm getting that the Yeezy Studio headquarters is currently located in Calabasas.
Where the fuck is that?
I think it's California. Yeah, okay.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
Calabasas.
Yeah, Calabasas,
I haven't
California.
heard that word before.
Okay. All right, cool. So where were you? Where did you say? Mike?
Oklahoma.
He's in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
I said Montana.
Okay, so let me go to the bottom of the article and find. Jesus,
Okay,
2016.
bloggers, by the way, we don't need to read 14 paragraphs before you get to the goddamn point of your article.
Okay. So here's the thing. He's moving from California to a 4,000-acre ranch in Cody, Wyoming.
Wyoming.
The dogs were
the
right.
The dogs were right. The dogs had. I knew it was going to be a state with very few people.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a state with mostly of those people who are it's going to be mostly white cowboys. I knew that it's got to be. It was like I was like Montana, Wyoming, Utah.
Yeezy needs a horse, man.
Dude, what he needs is a mountain. Like I know what he's after. He's not after the horse.
Yeah.
He wants a mountain on his property, someplace he can climb to the top of
And look over his empire.
And look over his empire.
Yeah, I think he would just stand there and like
exactly
hands on the hips, right?
Yeah.
No shirt on.
No
Yeah.
shirt,
Just a robe.
and he would stare for about 20 minutes, right? Before breaking out into like a yodel
Yeah.
or something.
And just let that Wyoming breeze blow his robe behind him.
Okay. All right. I
Like,
mean,
dude, like-
so Cody, Wyoming is, Cody, good luck. We wish you the best with Yeezy. Now,
I hope it turns out to be so fucking fantastic. I hope it's better than Neverland.
The great thing about it is that there's no way to actually know what he's going to do.
Right.
Because he says so many things. That's the amazing thing about him.
Yeah.
Is that he literally does so many interviews and says so many. It's impossible to keep up.
Well, not only do you not know what he's going to do, you don't know if you're going to like it or not.
Right.
See, that's the crazy thing about Kanye West.
Right.
Is that he's wrong about being the greatest human artist of all time.
Right.
But he's not wrong about being the greatest human artist of his time.
Right.
Like, he's absolutely right about that because he can do whatever he wants to do.
Right.
And you're probably going to buy it. And you're going to buy it not because he said to buy it, but because you keep listening to it and can't stop.
Right.
So that brings up a question for me, right? Because I've seen that exact same pattern before, what you just described. You know, saying a whole bunch of shit, you have no idea what he's going to do, and you have no idea whether you're going to like it or not.
Right.
So in your opinion, Flavor Ray,
Go ahead.
did Yeezy learn that from Trump, or did Trump
No.
learn that from Yeezy?
No. Like, I knew you were going there with Trump, but it's completely different with Trump because I've never liked anything Trump has done.
Interestingly enough, though, Yeezy already has announced his candidacy for the 2024 presidential election.
And he absolutely might win that election.
He has a chance.
But it's nothing like Trump.
So
because like
developed
Trump,
independently.
the thing about Trump is like Kanye West is a genuine genius. Trump is a genuine not genius, and so comparing the two products, one is a successful product that's been successful many times, and the other one is an unsuccessful product that's been unsuccessful many times.
But I think that might just be your opinion because you're Gen X.
Right. It could be because I'm Gen X, or it could be because I have actually looked at Trump's tax returns.
Well,
and I'm not telling anybody.
Okay, but that I understand. But what I'm getting at is you're calling it unsuccessful, but I don't know if for 1984 he wasn't actually also a genius. See, I'm gonna argue with you on this one because
I see your point immediately.
Yeah, look, if you're living in 1984,
yeah,
I'm trying to think of a smarter person off the top of my head. In other words, you're in the era of Michael Dukakis.
Right.
Clearly, if we're going currently, if we're going to run between Michael Dukakis and Donald Trump, I'm telling you who I'm voting for, and I don't, it doesn't start with a D. Well, it does, his first name, I guess. But yeah, I can't vote for Michael Dukakis.
Right.
He was like, literally, he made pit bulls look smart.
Right.
He made chimpanzees look smart. Quite frankly, you could have interviewed like a bush,
just slightly better than
Dukakis was one of the most quintessential dog candidates. I think the only more of a dog candidate would have been Quail.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. This is where you and I, and this is one of the things I love about us. You and I have never in the history of our relationship given an actual shit about the label that other people put on things.
No, yeah, you're right.
Because I remember when you and I were sitting here talking about the fact that President Obama was running for office, and we were like, this is not going to work. And one of the first things we talked about was it wasn't going to work because he was running as a Democrat.
Right. And I was very adamant that he was not a Democrat, or at the very least, he's not a progressive. And I was adamant about it.
Yeah, you were adamant about it, so much to the point that I went and began looking up his voting history.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, holy shit, this dude's a Republican.
There you go.
Like, he's actually a really good Republican.
He's a really good neocon.
Like if you actually line up how he votes and what he does, he's one of the strongest Republicans that the field has that's ever come out of the field.
Yeah, and we all loved him for it.
But then everybody was like, well, he's a Democrat. Well, and it's the same thing with President Trump. And you notice that I call both of them by their title.
Mm-hmm. I did notice that.
President Trump came out and said, I'm going to run as a Republican. You and I started talking about this, and we're like, there's only one problem. He's a Democrat.
Yep.
Like, through and through. He's a motherfucking Democrat.
Always has been.
Exactly. And that's the amazing thing.
He's a New York Democrat, granted, but a Democrat nonetheless.
Okay, but a Democrat's a Democrat generally.
Right.
Now, he wasn't a politician before, so he doesn't have a voting record to go back and look at.
Yeah.
So all you can do is go back and read like Time magazine articles and like his appearance on the Howard Stern show and things like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, what's this? And, in quotation marks, it says, if I ever run for president, I'll run as a Republican because they'll believe anything.
Like, when last time have you seen a Republican have this many hookers all the time? He ran through the entire 90s doing nothing but fucking hookers. That's not what Republicans do. They don't do that. They go to church.
Right.
Well, never been to a church before 2016, 17, somewhere in there.
Right. And how many? And the crazy thing to me is like everybody points out how much the hip hop community hates him, but if that's true, you guys have a very, not you and Mike, but you guys, as in maybe some of the pundits, have a very short memory. Because the truth is, Donald Trump has been mentioned on more hip-hop albums
than any other person of note.
Exactly.
It's absolutely true. Yeah. Everybody in hip-hop wanted to be Donald. Go back and listen to those old Nelly albums and see how many times he's talking about hanging out with Donald Trump.
Yeah. Go back. Well, but it's not just him. I mean, it's
no,
like...
I'm saying, go back and name them.
Just go back and listen from 1990 to 2010 and find me an album. I was just listening to an album from 97.
No Way Out.
No Way Out. And I think he's mentioned like 7 times in the first 3 tracks.
At least.
By Mace, Biggie, and Puff.
Puff.
Like, it's amazing.
I really thought Trump must be in the studio with Puff when he made that album.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is I'm not mad about it. The dude was in Home Alone. which is the only Christmas movie I watch.
There you go.
You know,
Like it's no mystery why people have a short memory about his shortcomings, because I was told everybody at the beginning he's everybody's grandpa. He's grandpa from the back. You know, it's like, hey, Grandpa, how you doing? I've been a rough president. Okay, Grandpa.
Yeah,
okay,
sure you are, Grandpa.
Okay, boomer.
All right, guys, this has been Tattoo with Children. I've been your host, Flavor Ray. You can find Tattoo with Children on Facebook at Tattoo with Children. You can find us on IG at Tattoo with Children. And find us on Twitter at Tattooed with Coach Shorten our ads there on purpose. That's what we do. You can find Pirate Ben on IG at Black Crow Brother. And you can find him on IG at Black Spot Tattoo Company. You can find me on IG at Madara Shadow and on Twitter at Hunter Vanguard, one word, Hunter Vanguard. And you can find Mike Payne, spelled Payne, at CIO Payne on IG and at Payne.points on IG. This has been a funny conversation. I've enjoyed it immensely, and I've enjoyed having you listen to me. Love you.
See you.
Later.
We were born to bring it back, but it's more than basic. It's a portion of his rap at the core is ancient. It's supported